SLT Fibre and experience the power of fibre technology. Sri Lanka's only super fast internet connection. SLT Fibre. Call 1212 now.
Tonight, 1.3 million feeding 19 million. Northern Governor calls for an interdependency between the North and South.
But we argue, say that Sri Lanka is a small enough, also big enough market for our own internal development.
Coalition and candidate. UNP to have crunch talks on Saturday. Which way to turn to? SLFP still undecided on backing SLPP's presidential candidate. An unwanted record. Sri Lanka's carousel of fiscal mistakes.
We have had 16 IMF programs and we have completed only one because we take the money. Once things get a bit better, we drop the program. I think it may be a record.
All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9, this Thursday, the 15th of August, 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
Nama Lifebuoy Cool Fresh සහ Lemon Fresh Menthol සහ Lemon සාරයෙන් 10 ගඳ ඇති කරන සංගුණ විස බීජ වලින් ආරක්ෂා කර ඔබව fresh කරයි. විස බීජ off, fresh එක on.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to First at 9. I'm Indivari Amuatta, bringing to you tonight's top stories and developments from across Sri Lanka and around the world. Governor of the Northern Province, Dr. Serene Raghavan, argues that an independent and interdependent economy can thrive within a neoliberal economic forum despite claims suggesting otherwise. He believes that Sri Lanka is strong enough to do so by bridging the gap between the North and the South. Dr. Raghavan says that this goal can be achieved by reviving the fishing industry in the Northern Province. Governor of the Northern Province, Dr. Serene Raghavan, argues that an independent and interdependent economy can thrive within a neoliberal economic forum despite claims suggesting otherwise. He believes that Sri Lanka is strong enough to do so by bridging the gap between the North and South. Dr. Raghavan says that this goal can be achieved by reviving the fishing industry in the Northern Province.
The completed first phase of the Miley Fisheries Harbour was vested with the public today under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Sri Lanka is the second largest island in the Indian Ocean. But we have never been able to build a fishing industrial culture in this country. Most of the fishing is still coastal fishing. We have deep sea fishing. We haven't even thought of international fishing. In 1982, almost 42% of the fisheries productions came from the North and East, particularly Northern Province. So building harbors is going back to that interdependence between the North and South. And 1.3 million people in the Northern Province can be the producers, can be the suppliers to the 19 million people below us, so that we build an interdependent economy. Of course, some pundits say that that kind of interdependence is not possible in a neoliberal economic forum. But we argue to say that Sri Lanka is a small enough, also big enough market for our own internal developments. So the next step from here is to build the waters. Sri Lanka, last 15 years, in the south, 10 fishing harbors were done, but none were done in the north. From Pesalai to Thondamanaru, there were earmarked 5 fisheries harbors. Parathurai Harbour, I am told, once that is finished, that will be the largest fishing harbour in the country. And we are proud that work is underway to achieve that. So that interdependent democracy, that one produces, one consumes, one decides, other practices. And that kind of participatory democracy is important for us to go forward. I am no politician, I underline that. But we are in election times. Many are claiming to be leaders of this country. I ask them, do you have a vision to take my motherland to the next decade? For that person, I will vote.
Now, the governor of the central bank, Dr. Indrajit Coomaraswamy, notes that Sri Lanka has obtained 16 programs of the International Monetary Fund, but has completed only one. The governor also said that the country behaves sans discipline since it received large amounts of foreign aid due to its status of low-income country. Dr. Coomaraswamy was speaking at the Sri Lanka Forum of Junior Business Economists organized by the University of Sri Lanka in Colombo today.
Sri Lankan Forum of Junior Business Economists organised by the University of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo today. The initiative is organised to address the prevailing need of upsurging interest among undergraduates to contribute for the economic development while creating a platform to share learnings and to create a hub of expertise in business, management and economics.
Let me start by sharing with you what is being done to get sound macro fundamentals on a sustained basis rather than these stop-go policies. What we have done in the past is we have either too large a budget deficit, pumping excess demand into the system, and then you have the inflation, the high interest rates, exchange rate pressure, all that. And then we kind of go to the IMF and get a program and we slow things down, but then make the same mistake again, particularly when another election comes. We have had 16 IMF programs. I think it may be a record. I know Argentina and Pakistan have had a lot, but I don't think anybody has had 16. And we have completed only one because we take the money and once things get a bit better, we drop the program. We were able to behave in this way with this lack of discipline because we were a low-income country and we got large amounts of foreign aid. Sri Lanka was the second country after Chile to liberalize its economy in 1977. So the traditional donors were very keen to demonstrate good development outcomes in a country which was a democracy and also had liberal economic policies. So they used to give us a lot of foreign aid, which actually, with the benefit of hindsight, was not really good for us because it got us used to living beyond our means and not taking some of the tough decisions we had to improve the competitiveness of our economy and to be able to earn a good living on our own rather than having these infusions of foreign aid. Now, upper middle income country, no infusions of foreign aid, and we are having to go and borrow at 7, almost 8% from international capital markets. Clearly, that cannot continue. We have to get that right.
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived in Qatar today together with opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa and engaged in religious observances. Earlier in the day, they called on the Bishop of Kandy, Right Reverend Dr. Joseph Vianney Fernando in Kandy.
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the Diocese of Kandy this morning and called on Bishop of Kandy, Right Reverend Dr. Joseph Vianney Fernando.
Afterwards we will call you. Inside, yes.
The duo then arrived at the Kirivehera temple in Qatar.
බැරුණු බිමට යලි වණකෝඩා මේරටේ ආදරණීය සමස්ත ජනතාව අධිකරු මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටි නායකත්වය එතමයි ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමන්.
They also called on the chief incumbent of the Kataragama Kirivehera temple, Venerable Kobavaka Damminda Thera. Religious observances were held at the sacred site with the participation of 500 members of the Buddhist clergy.
The Mahasangha is with any leader who protects Buddhism, the country and its culture. We wholeheartedly bless that leader. You have the strength to plot a path for this country out of the depths where it finds itself today. That's what we, the Mahasangha, want. You have the former president who is well experienced by your side. Do the right thing by the post you get. When you do the right thing, we stand by you to help you.
General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Amuro Veera, expresses disappointment over opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa choosing to step out of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party by becoming the leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Parliamentarian Amuro Veera also pointed out the possibility of the opposition leadership of Rajapaksa being in danger.
According to the SLFP's constitution, what you point out is correct. His membership will be cancelled and will possibly have to face the challenges that come with it. But we will not make this an opportunity to do so. We are disappointed that he stepped out of the SLFP. The SLFP Central Committee has not taken any such decision. We are ever ready to nominate a candidate from the SLFP. The Central Committee also has such a decision in mind. We intend to obtain a guarantee from them on their agreement towards policies to drive the country forward. Secondly, about the conduct that will safeguard the identity of the SLFP. We're glad that he stands partyless without obtaining membership of the SLPP. If he obtains membership of the SLFP, these discussions will be easier.
President Maithripala Sirisena emphasizes that it is essential to identify the causes behind students abandoning universities as well as failed marriages. Addressing an event in Katugasthuta today, the head of state highlighted figures from a survey saying that 70% of marriages in Sri Lanka fail, with some coming to an end within the first 3 months, and called for a better society and a country.
President Maithripala Sirisena inaugurated the Kandy District Smart Sri Lanka Career Guidance Centre, established with the objective of empowering skillful youth.
According to the latest statistics, 20% of students who enroll themselves at universities come back home. From that 20%, 10 to 12% return due to being ragged. Another social survey says that 70% of marriages in Sri Lanka turn out to be unsuccessful. 5 to 10% have unsuccessful relationships within 2 to 3 months into their marriage. We should identify all this and build a better country and a better society. We introduced Smart Sri Lanka to hand over the future of our country to our youth.
Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena also declared open the newly constructed 100-bed ward complex of the Pallikale Provincial Ayurvedic Hospital.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe questions whether the country must return to an era of a Rajapaksa rule. Addressing an event in Jaffna today, the Premier went on to say that even parliamentarians are not safe under a governance with a Rajapaksa at the helm.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickramsinghe is currently engaged in a visit to the Jaffna Peninsula, where he called on the Nagavihare yesterday. Today, the Premier visited the Nallur Kandaswamy temple. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe also joined the unveiling of the new building constructed at the Agricultural Centre in the area of Tirunelveli of Jaffna today.
I always consider those who are in Jaffna to be free of worry. They live without fear, and that is a good thing. I was surprised when SLPP members mentioned during their convention on the 11th that people live in fear. They said it was during the tenure of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa that security was ensured. They urged the public to bring back that era while claiming that it was during our time that these bombs went off. But we were able to arrest all those terrorists, and there are around 200 of them in custody at the moment. I would like to ask as to what happened during the previous government. MP Raviraj was killed on the road and no one was arrested. MP Maheswaran was killed while engaging in religious observances at the Sivam Kovil, and no one was arrested there either. They claim that they arrested all LTT members in Colombo, so why couldn't they arrest those who were here? Must there be an era where those who oppose them die while those who support them live? How can we possibly move forward as a country if parliamentarians are being shot along roads?
Chairman of the United National Party, Minister Kabir Hashim, revealed today that the final decision on the proposed new coalition as well as the presidential candidate will be made on the 17th of August. Minister Hashim expressed these views during a media briefing in Colombo.
We're trying to introduce a new political path which is full of youth that will take the country forward from its current stagnant status. It is not a party where family members make decisions. We're in no hurry because the date for the presidential election has not been declared yet. We will name our candidate democratically through a system which is approved by the public. The coalition took time to be established because out of the 5 proposed amendments, we couldn't come to an agreement on one. This Saturday, UNF party leaders and prominent members of the UNP will meet for discussions. During the meeting, we hope to propose that the date for the signing of the coalition as well as the declaration of our candidate be done on the same day.
Well, the Indian High Commissioner Taranjit Singh Sindhu reiterates India's solidarity with Sri Lanka against all forces of terrorism. Reading out the statement of Indian President Ram Nath Kovind on the 73rd Independence Day of India, the High Commissioner said that India will offer its spirit of cooperation to every endeavour with its partner countries. The Indian High Commissioner Taranjit Singh Sindhu reiterates India's solidarity with Sri Lanka against all forces of terrorism. Reading out the statement of Indian President Ram Nath Kovind on the 73rd Independence Day of India, the High Commissioner said that India will offer its spirit of cooperation to every endeavour with its partner countries.
The flag-hoisting ceremony marking the 73rd Independence Day of India was held at the India House in Colombo today with the presence of Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sindhu.
I want to once again reiterate that India will always stand in solidarity with Sri Lanka against all the forces which extend further terrorism in the world. The illustrious generation that led us to freedom did not perceive independence only in terms of transfer of political power. They considered it a stepping stone in a longer and larger process of nation building and nation welding. In this background, I am confident that the recent changes made in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh would be of immense benefit to those regions. They will enhance the people to access and enjoy the same rights, same privileges and same facilities as their fellow citizens in rest of the country. The spirit of cooperation is what we bring to our diplomatic endeavors, as well as we gladly share our experiences and our strengths with partner countries in every continent.
Well, we have more from the weather to business coming up after this short break. Welcome back in your business news. Former chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines, AdaDerana, says that the warehouse of the Mattala International Airport was used to store paddy upon a request by advisor to Prime Minister Charitha Ratwatte. In 2015, the government took measures to store paddy at the Mattala International Airport, which resulted in some of the systems and equipment of the airport being damaged.
Former chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines AdaDerana was summoned to the police unit of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, probing allegations of corruption and malpractices in the government. Recording his statement, AdaDerana said that Prime Minister's advisor Charitha Ratwatte had contacted him and asked him if he could provide the warehouse at the Mattala airport to store paddy. He also mentioned that after discussing the matter with the airport authorities, he had written to Charitha Ratwatte giving the go-ahead to the request. Dias added that the chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board had informed him that storing paddy was approved by a cabinet subcommittee.
Taking you to the stock market, shares closed weaker today as investors locked in profits after the recent rally in financial and industrial stocks. The all-share price index ended down 0.54% at 5,917.15, while turnover was 1.8 billion rupees, more than this year's daily average. Here's a brief report and your currency rates.
It was a negative day in both bond and stock market. In the bond market, overall yield curve moved up as global volatility resulted in foreigners exiting more riskier markets like Sri Lanka. Yield curve moved up about 10 basis points across the yield curve amidst moderate activities. In the stock market, markets saw the declining after continuous gains in the previous weeks. Heavy foreign participation was witnessed today with mostly foreign-to-foreign transaction, while a small net foreign selling was recorded of 36 million. Turnover surged again over 1 billion with high level of retail activity, but mostly onto the selling side.
As promised, we take you to the weather update. Over 12,000 people have been affected by this year's southwest monsoon, with over 6,000 people moved to safer locations. Landslide warnings are issued for 3 districts, with the warnings being in place over the past 3 days. Seas surrounding the island are also rough, with strong winds forecast for coastal areas. This is why life savings officials have come together along with the Disaster Management Centre to urge the public to stay safe, especially near waterways and coastal areas.
The prevailing southwest monsoon season has already claimed 2 precious lives in the country, with 12,343 individuals being affected. Strong winds, heavy rain and landslips across several provinces left over 2,230 houses damaged and in turn left 623 people seeking safer locations. The Department of Meteorology forecasts that heavy showers will subside over the next few days, but went on to inform that showers or thunder showers may occur until then across all 9 provinces of the island. Since rainfall within the past 24 hours has exceeded 75 millimeters, the National Building Research Organisation urged the public in the districts of Nuwara, Ratnapura and Kegol to be vigilant of possible landslides, slope failures, rock falls, cutting failures and ground subsidence. Some of the main rivers in the country have also reached minor flood levels, and Disaster Management Centre urged the public to be vigilant over these developments as well.
Minor flood levels been recorded in Ratnapura area, and some situations been alert level been observed in Kalaniganga and Ginganga and Nilwala Ganga, the Millakanda at Kaluganga area. So people has to pay a lot of attention over the water levels of the rivers. These areas could also be roughed and extending from Pothuville to Mana via Hambantota, via Colombo and Puttalam, and sudden increase of wind speed could also be expected 60 kilometers per hour from Pothuville to Hambantota. So fishermen and naval communities to be vigilant with that prevailing situation.
after warnings of strong winds of up to 60 km per hour in rough sea areas extending from Pothuvel to Mana via Hambantota, Colombo and Putlam, the possibility of harm brought by the threat of drowning seems most real. Drowning is the second leading cause of accidental death in Sri Lanka, with an estimated number of deaths of over 1,100 annually. Even with a 1,340 km coastline around the island and thousands of waterways including rivers, lakes, beaches and dams, which are used 365 days a year, many people in Sri Lanka have minimal swimming skills and knowledge of being safe in the water. With the holiday season in full effect, this has become a hindrance to safety, especially of school children. This is why Vice President of the Sri Lanka Aquatic Sports Union, DIG H.H. Chulasiri, urges the public to follow a few simple measures to stay safe.
In this period is a very happy time. Students are very happily enjoy with the water. In this situation, we have to look after for the life-saving techniques and everything. People's ability of the swimming, it is very important. Red and yellow flags are come to the river, the lake, the sea. They are the safest place. Then they must not to attend the water, not to attend the sea with the alcohol. It will be dangerous thing. On the other hand, before entering the water, we have to look up the suitable clothes.
3 more members of the banned organisation Jamaat-e-Millat Ibrahim, who had allegedly received training of terror training with Easter Sunday attacks ringleader Zaharan Hashim, was arrested by police. Police spokesperson SP Ruan Gunasekara said that the suspects were arrested in Ampara based on information received by State Intelligence Service. The suspects had allegedly received weapons training in Nuwara and in Hambantota. Also in the news tonight, 2 suspected members of an underworld gang have been hacked to death by members of a rival organised criminal gang near the Madampitia cemetery in Grand Pass. Police said that the incident occurred at around 4:15 p.m. today and that the attack was carried out by 4 individuals who had arrived in a 3-wheeler wielding machetes. The suspects, aimed with machetes, had brutally attacked the victims, who had already succumbed to injuries by the time they were admitted to the Colombo National Hospital. One of the victims has been identified as an underworld figure known by the name Anamalu Ranga. The other victim is a 22-year-old youth. And we have your sports and international news coming up after this break. To stay with us on First at 9. In international news, the US Department of Justice has made a last-minute request to the authorities in Gibraltar to halt the release of a seized Iranian supertanker. Grace 1, carrying Iranian oil, was stopped by Royal Marines on the 4th of July, triggering a standoff with Tehran. The vessel was due to be released after Gibraltar's Attorney General indicated there would be no further order for its detention. Gibraltar said the US application is based on number of allegations which are now being considered. The UK Foreign Office said it was unable to comment on the US request. A spokesman for Gibraltar's government also confirmed that police proceedings against all 4 members of the crew, including the captain, an Indian national, had ended. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said his decision to strip Indian-administered Kashmir of its special status will restore the region to its past glory. He said Kashmir will play an important role in India's development during an Independence Day speech today. He said Article 370, the constitutional provision that granted it special status, had only encouraged corruption. He made the remarks during an address at the iconic Red Fort in the capital, Delhi. India celebrates Independence Day one day after Pakistan. The two separate states came into existence as a result of the partition of British India in 1947. In sports, New Zealand could only add 46 more runs to their overnight score of 203 runs in the first innings as they lost 5 wickets cheaply today. With Akila Dhananjaya bagging all 5 wickets to have fallen yesterday, it was Suranga Lakmal's turn today as he bagged today's 4 out of 5 wickets, restricting the Black Caps to 249 runs. That brought Sri Lankan opener to the middle. At stumps on day 2 of the first test, Sri Lanka had 227 runs on the board for the loss of 7 wickets. Kusal Mendes and Angelo Matthews chipped in with half-centuries to prop the innings up, with the hosts 22 runs behind the New Zealand tally with 3 wickets in hand heading into day 3. And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9 on AdaDerana 24. I'm Indiveri Amuathan. Good night.